This episode is powered by Safety FM.
In this episode, I'm going to teach you how to do your own events so that you can have your training be a tool that you could get more clients.
Hi, everybody. Todd Conklin. I know lots of you get your information while you drive down the road or sit on planes or sit in meetings and look interested. And now you should know that 3 of my books are available for your listening pleasure on Audible. With the help of Jay Allen and Safety FM, we've produced 3 of the books: Workplace Fatalities, The 5 Principles of Human Performance, and my very first book, Simple Revolutionary Acts, and they're available now where you get audiobooks.
Do you want to be a safety consultant? Listen to Dr. Jay Allen of Safety FM give his experience after taking the Safety Consultant Blueprint course.
But I really think that you have a genuine, good product there that can really assist people if they're interested in becoming a safety consultant.
Register for the Safety Consultant Blueprint at www.safetyconsultantblueprint.com. Enter code PODCAST for a special discount.
Welcome to the Safety Consultant Podcast. This is the podcast where I show you, the safety consultant or the person who is acting as a safety consultant in their business, tips of the trade. This week, we're going to learn about how to create your own event and using that as either a way to sell your own products or a way for you to get more clients. So we'll go through this and break it down step by step and really just help you with that. And before we start, though, I want to ask you guys if you wouldn't mind, just help me out a little by going to your iTunes or Stitcher or any place where you listen to the podcast and go ahead and subscribe to this podcast and download it or however you consume it. That'll be great. And what will really mean the world to me as well would be if you could do an actual comment so I know what you think and what I should do, where we should go with this stuff. And so I love the comments and I love those 5-star reviews. I got one on iTunes right now and I want to get more. All right. So let's get into this topic for this week. So when I first got started with my utility compliance business, one of the things that I was doing, I had to do some of the work on weekends on my own time, and I just really wanted to make sure that I utilized the best available information that I had to create my own events. So one of the I had to break down, let's say, the event itself, what I wanted to accomplish, but how many people do I think I was going to get, what is my area of expertise that I wanted to get out there, and then also where am I going to do this. And so there's a bunch to really think about in that way. When I first got started, I started doing wastewater classes, and specifically something called industrial pre-treatment classes. So only wastewater professionals would know about that one. But the class itself, I got approved. It was actually 2 classes. I got approved for CEUs, and that's continuing education units, and that was with the Florida Water Society and Association that was responsible for making sure that licensed operators are the only ones that are going to be able to treat in the treatment plant, and basically the state got the state certification, and then every operator needed to renew in Florida every 2 years. So I thought, hey, that's something I got to do anyway. I used to pay for it when I was a plant superintendent, so I knew that there was going to be some business in this, but I had to figure out how am I going to create my own event and make it profitable. So that became a little bit hard doing it that way. The biggest thing that was the problem for me at the time is just not knowing anything about event coordinating. So I had to really kind of dig in and figure out how to do this. So the first thing I decided was, all right, let's pick the course, and get that approved. So I did that. I went through the approval cycle to have my company be a provider for wastewater, drinking water, and distribution system CEUs in the state of Florida. So being in Florida, that was the most likely thing I could do. And that was the field I was in, so it became easy. So I just got on the website of that special entity, went through all of their hoops and became a licensed provider from them for CEUs, and then I got my courses approved. So I was able to say, you take my course, and then I'll make sure that you get your CEUs. I'll do everything I need to through the state and get you your CEUs. So that was basically how that part worked out. So one was going to be a 10-hour class, and the other one was going to be a 4-hour class. So I set it up where I was going to provide those two classes and just vary between taking days off or actually going and trying to do these on a weekend. So my list of people that I had first to promote this wasn't that great. I actually had to do it more word of mouth at this time. Now I do a little different, but back then I had to do it word of mouth. So anyone that I knew, I gave them a call and said, hey, I'm thinking about doing an event. Would you be interested in this? And a lot of people were actually interested. So I had to call around to see what kind of places I could find. So here's your options. When you're thinking about locations, you could go to a hotel. In some cases, hotels will ask for a deposit, and they need to know that you're going to have a certain amount of people that are going to be there so they can price the room for you. And when you're really thinking about a bigger event, then now that is going to be where you're going to have to block out a certain amount of rooms. So I didn't want to do that, so I decided I'm not going to do that route. And I found some hotels that would let me block out room spaces without having to do a deposit. And up to 2 weeks, I could call them and say, hey, don't have enough people, or I have enough people, let's proceed. So that was one of the other things that I did after a while. So the next thing I was thinking was, all right, well, who has actual center space that I could use and might not be as expensive? So now I was kind of racking my brain as to where to go. And the place that really stood out to me was a community center. In the community center, didn't have much. It had a little kitchen. It had a little meeting room. And that was really about it. It had a bathroom. Can't forget that. So that was good. So about everything I really needed. And I decided that I was going to price everything where I also included lunch. So I made sure that there was a little bit of money extra for lunch. And then I priced it for the actual event. So that was what I was doing. And the very first one, I think I got 3 or 4, and I didn't want to cancel anyone because they're giving me a shot, so I wanted to make sure that I did it so I could go ahead and get more and more time. So I did it in a small event. I got some subs, and we basically had subs and chips and juices, coffee, and that's how I set up the first event. From the beginning of when I had the thought until I actually did the event, I gave myself roughly about 2.5 months, right around that time. It was promotion time, everything I needed to know. I had to put together a flyer, and I did this old school. So I actually did a flyer, printed it out, and started handing it out to people as I would meet them. And in some cases, I would mail it to them because the state at the time had an operators list, and you could get the operators' names and address and everything else. So that made it pretty much an easy mailing list to look for. So I went about it that way. That's the way I was trying to get the program or the event going. I do it a little differently this way, like I mentioned earlier before, but right now at the point of my career, I use more of it's an autoresponder. So I'll do a promotion, someone signs up for the promotion, they become to get on my mailing list, and from that, then I have the option of sending other things to them and letting them know, I give them value. Obviously, you got to give them value. You can't just, spam, me. I give them value, so it's definitely worth their while to get on my newsletter. And if you're interested, just go to sheldonprimus.com and you'll be able to find it that way. And click on, if you're interested in a proposal, you can get a free proposal, or if you're interested in my book, you could get a free copy of my book. So in the way I'm getting your email and phone number, I understand that, and I cherish that information, but that's also a way that if I am going to be in a certain area, I can promote it to specifically people that are in certain areas. So that's what I currently do. But back then, when I was starting this whole thing about getting my events, I had to truly try to do it shoestring, and I printed it out. That was the best way for me at the time. So when you're trying to get the actual event location, one of the things to think about with the event location is that you really want to talk to whoever the administrator is. Tell them all about yourself. Tell them about what the program is. Tell them about who you expect to be there, so that they can get a good idea of who they're renting to. And then find out information about, how much it costs, how do you get in, how do you get out, who do I communicate with if there's no kind of, if I need some help while I'm there. Am I getting rental of the audio visual equipment? And if you're doing all that, that's all in the price that you're going to end up having to charge people for you to actually have the event. So get all that information in, so you know exactly what your expenses are going to be. Also, part of your expenses, you have to think about drive time. You have to think about prep time for prepping the classes before, after, and the paperwork to send it. So you got to think about that time. You also have to think about the commute time to get to and from, especially mileage. So that's all part of the calculation of what the cost is for that event and how much you want to make from it. You got to truly have that number in your mind, thinking, okay, I want to make $5,500 from this event, so therefore I need to break it down to X amount of people, and then I have to make sure that that's 55 after profit, after expenses, where it's total profit, or is that the total ticket amount? So you have to really consider that. So the next thing is your flyers, how you're going to actually do this. You could do this social media style. You could do this flyer style like I first did when I got into the consulting side, or some other way. If you have your own podcast, then hey, that's a great way to promote an event. So you have to make sure you get that going when you're doing your flyer. Think about a few different elements in your flyers. So you're going to have to make sure, and the way I did my flyers at the time is I literally had a little block on the bottom that someone could cut off a strip, and on that bottom strip was the information I would need with their name, their phone number, their address, and how many people are coming, so I know what was enclosed to check that was enclosed. So that's how I received my first classes. I just went in and, or I should say, I created the flyer, sent them out. People cut the bottom of this flyer and then put in their check, did their registration right on the bottom of that, and just sent it right in. So that was my event. So after that, I truly had to create a different way of reaching people. So a lot of it is that networking. So you have to go out there, shake hands, and tell everybody who you are. So once you get that started, then you can tell them about your event. Later on, I really figured out that you're going to have to get a lot more of giving people some value first, and then they'll get to know you, like you, trust you, so much so that they'll say, hey, I want to go do your course because I'm getting a lot from you already. That's what you want. That's truly the way of buying habits. And then when you're ready to promote your course, or promote your event, then you'll have a better chance of getting them to get into your event. So another thing that I had to think about, especially with rental of a facility, in some cases you could work out a percentage rate. So let's say I asked somebody to host at their location. I didn't want to do the daily rate for the room, but I said, are you willing to get 10% up to whatever? Sometimes I even did 25% when I was first starting of the actual event cost if they are helping you promote it. So they help you promote it, and in some cases they place people into your class by going to their list, and when they get to their list, you have much more people at your disposal, if you will, and you're using their credibility to help with your course, and they get a percentage, you get the bulk of the cost, and in some cases they will work a little bit harder for the percentage versus getting that flat rate. I didn't do that at first. I was mostly flat rate guy, where I just asked them, all right, how much is it flat rate for how many days? And then I just paid that flat rate when I was done with the event. So that's one of the things that you do. If you're going online, which I do now, and let's say you're not driving, if you are, then just go ahead and play this part back later. But right now I'm currently promoting an event which is from the National Environmental and Occupational Safety Training Inc., NEOST. So NEOST is a nonprofit I started a couple years ago just so I could do some training and eventually get some grants where I could do some free training for people whenever the grants come out. And that's a goal of mine, is to provide free training through grant money. So what I do have right now is a paid course, and it is actually a Safety FM roadshow. So if you went to neosti.org/safetyfm, so that's neosti.org/safetyfm, SAFETYFM, and you'll get to this page that I'm going to describe. So this is the page that I'm currently, this promotion that I'm doing right now, or I should say this course that I'm doing, is a Safety FM Roadshow. It's me and Dr. J also with Safety FM, the founder of Safety FM. We're going to do an OSHA compliance / HOP event. So Human Organization Performance, HOP. And we're calling it the EHS Compliance Culture Shift. We've got a course set up in Denver, and we got one set up in Houston, and it's all week. So if you're in the Houston area, might as well check us out. That's going to be June 17th through the 21st. And if you're in the Denver area, it's September 23rd to the 27th. So we're kind of breaking it up, 2 days compliance, 2 days HOP, and I'm going to do the OSHA compliance side. That's what I do. And Dr. J is going to do the HOP side, and we're going to be able to cover culture and compliance in the same event for that whole week. And then on the last day of the week, we're going to do a nice old-fashioned roundtable about EH&S, as well as all aspects of compliance and HOP. So that's the event. If you're available, June 17th through the 21st, that's the Houston, Texas event. Or if you're in Denver, then you could do September 23rd through the 27th. If these go really well, we're going to go ahead and do more and more of them all around the place. So you're going to see a lot more of the Safety FM Roadshow. So now that you had a little time to pull up the website, neosti.org/safetyfm, those both locations, I was able to work something out with the locations. So, they are going to host us there, as well as there's going to be an opportunity for us to co-brand this event with them, which is wonderful. So I would go to that page when you're not driving and you're actually sitting back at your office where you listen to this. Go to that page, and then you'll see what I did first. So the very top of the page, you're going to see the logo that I created, that is supposed to catch the eye, make everything pop. And that logo was from an actual website called Canva, Canva.com. So Canva.com, you could actually create almost any kind of logos. If you want to do it for a Facebook page or social media of all kinds, blogs, letters, posters, any of that, they give you one of these template-based things that you can kind of put together each element of your flyer that way. So I used this for a logo, created that Safety FM Roadshow logo, as well as the locations and everything. So I included the basics there. The name of the show, the actual who's sponsored by, the location, the 2 spots, Houston and Denver, and then I got in there the registration. So you register at niasi.org/safetyfm. So when I want to put this on Facebook or LinkedIn or any social media, this is going to be the picture that's going to auto-generate right there. So there's a lot of information, and already I'm telling them if they want to register to come to this page that we're on right now. So you scroll down a little further, and I'm using WordPress for this. So if you're going through the website, you're on a WordPress website that you're looking at. So I give a little bit of understanding of what the expectation would be for the week. And that's the first part of the promotion page. Second part is who should attend. So that's the part that I was doing after. And then after the who should attend, then the next thing that I was going to do is I basically give you the price, the option to pay. So that's right on top. And if you haven't heard my other podcast, episode 12, where it is Learn How to Use Payment Management Systems, in episode 12, I show you how to use PayPal. So what I did here is I embedded a PayPal button that I created. And I'll show you in that episode how to create a PayPal button. But if you click on this particular button at the time of this recording, you're going to see, I believe, 7 options there. One to pay for the whole 5-day event in Houston. So that's the May 17th through the 21st event. The second option is going to be the 2-day OSHA compliance seminar. The third option is going to be the 2-day HOP seminar. And then the 5th is the Houston 1-day roundtable price. So that gives people multiple different ways of getting to getting the information that they need and that they want during the event. So if they want to just focus on OSHA compliance, they go to the first 2 days. And then if they want to come to the hops, the second 2 days, and then the round table, they can just stick around for that. But there's a discount for if anybody does all 5 days. So that was all through the PayPal button. So once you get on PayPal and you have to create a button, you're going to add a button is what they call it on PayPal. You kind of have to think through what's going to be that user experience. How many options do I want? How many buttons do I want? In this way, I wanted to do just one button with many options so that it's going to be more and more flexible, and I can add that code just about any page that I really wanted to. And so after that, you scroll down, you're going to see the Safety FM logo, and then you're going to see the first 2-day session with myself. And then I also give in the middle of this page another opportunity to register right there. So I copied the first embedded code with the PayPal code on it, and I put it there too. So now you got 2 places that you're going to have, you'll be able to have people choose to pay. And then underneath that, I have Jay's side, where Jay's going to be doing with HOP. So that is also on there. And then on the bottom, I have the 2 locations that we're going to be in Houston and Denver. So then everybody will have the information that they need, as well as a way to pay. So that's a good way right now that you could do it online. And then you could use that page and then post or print that in your social media feed, so everybody will be able to go to it through their phone, through the computer, and it's a better way of trying to do an event. So once you get the registration in, now I know for sure who's being registered because of the option that was being chosen. So I'll know if somebody just registered for the Denver course or somebody just registered for the Houston course. That's just because the way the PayPal button worked, helped me out that way. So you really have to think ahead for those options so that you could do it. So now you've got, from beginning to where I am now, you chose a topic. If you wanted to provide CEUs, you went through whatever hoops you need just to make sure that you have the CEUs for whatever entity. If you're doing general safety and health, you should probably look at the certificate that you are trying to get people to come, like if it's CSP or for me a COS or a COS-M certificate. Just look up those programs and see what their prerequisite is for CEUs. No one actually owns the CEU where you have to go through an official channel to get them, but there are some times where you can't just get CEUs for contact time. So contact time is different. That's where someone comes in, they're doing just, the 4-hour class or the 8-hour class. You already have a contact time with them in training. CEUs is an actual unit that is used for getting people's license renewed or getting a certification renewed. So that's where they have the CEUs for those purposes. And you could issue those yourselves. You just have to make sure that you meet all the criteria for those CEUs, the accrediting bodies for each and everyone's licenses or certifications that they want to get. So I do that. I go ahead and I search and see what the license or CEU requirements is for a CSP or a COS or a COS-M or any of the other just bunch of certificates that you can get now in safety and health. Yeah, I do that. And then from there, the nonprofit will actually print out CEUs for anyone that's doing those classes. And I'll just say it meets the criteria for whatever that entity is for the safety designation. So that's a little research on my side, but hey, someone's going to come to my course. I want to get them CEUs that they need so they get some credit to keep up their licensing. So we got the CEUs, we got the location. If you are completely stumped on location, I would also try your local library. So your local library usually has meeting rooms, and so if you have a community center for your town, that's a good one. Library, that's also a good one, and those usually are cheaper than trying to get into a hotel or getting into some sort of event center. Those are really expensive, so you don't want to do those yet. And so that is the next list that we're doing. So after that, then now we got to promote. So if you want to promote by physically mailing stuff to someone, that's probably the most expensive route. But if you're a regular contributor to LinkedIn groups and groups throughout your social media, then you could always add that if that's part of the group. You just have to look at the rules. If it's in the group rules and you can do it, then go ahead and do that. But you don't want to always post things about yourself. That's one of the things I currently have to really look at is how am I going to help. So I try to reply to a lot of people in groups and just show that I'm a human person and help as much as I can. And then when I do have events, I'll post my events. And I hadn't had anyone ask me to take it down yet, so fingers crossed that's not going to happen. But truly, I just post and I try to keep active in those groups. So the last thing after that is you got your location, you got where you're going to teach, you got your information that you're going to use to teach. So I would really just focus on delivery. You want to deliver that course or deliver that seminar in such a way that someone's going to really want to have you back, and make sure you take some feedback afterwards so you could make the next one better or make the next one better. So you need that feedback. That feedback's going to be big for you to help you out. So that is how to create your own event. So when we get back, we're going to go to the tip of the week.
Do you want to be a safety consultant? Listen to Dr. Jay Allen of Safety FM give his experience after taking the Safety Consultant Blueprint course.
I have actually done research on different consultants and looked at different consulting courses and so on. There is a pretty fancy, very expensive consulting course that is out there. I have actually purchased the consulting course, was interested in it. It has good information, don't get me wrong. But you have a consulting course that really drives people onto focusing on safety and how to become a safety consultant. I will tell you, on your particular course, there was better information in that particular regards than the other consulting course that was more of a generalist form. But I felt like I got more information out of yours on you giving people direct path on what to do step by step. But I really think that you have a genuine good product there that can really assist people if they're interested in becoming a safety consultant.
Register for the Safety Consultant Blueprint at www.safetyconsultantblueprint.com. Enter code PODCAST for a special discount.
The tip of the week is to go and do an event. It's not hard. It really isn't. So just really listen to this episode really well. And I want you to go ahead and try. Set up something that is going to be some information that you really know well. Go ahead and go through the steps to set up an event. And then just do it. Just trust yourself. You could do this. If you need to get a partner and the two of you go through it together, you might be pulling from the same type of influences, or you might actually have two different target markets that are going to come together in one event. That's okay too. And so just go ahead and do it. And when you do, just make sure that you try to give yourself about a 2 to 2.5 month window to get this going, and just start with your cheapest one. And if you need to, there's an additional thought that I'm kind of including a tip of the week. Do a free webinar. Do a free webinar leading up to the event, so that at the end of the webinar, you could also solicit for people to join your event. So now you've got a way for you to promote in that webinar, and you could give them like a freebie, maybe a first chapter or first whatever, or a PowerPoint presentation. People really love that. You could get a lot of information there, and get that email name and the email itself, so you can start creating your list, and then start selling to your targeted list, people that already know you. So that will help when it comes to getting into getting people to register for your event. That's really what it breaks down, what's going to help. All right, so that is your tip of the week. And I'd like to thank you for listening to the podcast.
This episode has been powered by Safety FM.